Welcome to Getting Started to 3D Printing. Hi, my name's Kyle, and today what we're going to do is an introduction to slicing files. So this is Slicing Files Part 1. So just to give you to jolt your memory real quick, 3D printing is an additive technology. Now what does additive mean? You can think of like 1 plus 1. That means you're making things. You're not subtracting. You're not losing anything. So it basically means that 3D printers take some raw material and make things out of it. Now, what does that mean? That means you can basically design anything that you want and print it and make it what you want it to be. And because of that, 3D printing allows literally the sky to be the limit. So this is especially important because during our COVID-19 effort right now, frontline workers aren't having the necessary PPE or personal protective equipment to wear. So, in partnership with Learning Bee Learning Center with Miss Grace and Miss Bowie from Irvington High School and the Nexus Makerspace, we're going to show you how to create 3D print files using our face mask buckle that you can see right over here where my mouse is. Now, in this series, what we're going to show you is we're going to break down every single part, every component of 3D printing into bite-sized chunks so that you can become a master builder at 3D printing. Now, in our robotics team, we actually learned by unscrewing the whole 3D printer and messing up a lot of prints. But what we're doing with these videos is sharing our experience, our failures, and our knowledge so that you will have a nice, smooth transition into becoming the master builder that you will become. So, let's hop into it. Real quickly over here, this is going to be our file that we want to download. So, really nice over here, we're just going to click download. And it's going to go ahead, go to my downloads folder, and I see it right here. So, real quickly, if you pay attention to where my mouse is clicking right here, it says this whole name, .stl. Now, STL is just a fancy name. So we're going to break it down. So everyone has played with Legos before. Now, for example, we're going to take a Lego Death Star model. If you see a Lego Death Star model at Target, it's going to be really hard to build it just by looking at that picture. So you can think of this STL as that picture on the cardboard box that holds all the Legos. This STL is just a picture. It's a 3D picture, but just a picture. Now, our 3D printer can't print based on just looking at a picture. It's really hard to build the Lego Death Star just from pictures. So the 3D printer can't build this just from a picture. So we need to use something called GCode. GCode is the Lego instructions for the 3D printer. So if you had instructions to build the Lego Death Star, I'm sure you could do it. If you give Lego instructions from the STL in the form of G-code, then the 3D printer can definitely do it too. So, our goal is to go from STL to G-code. Now wait a minute. How do we do that? Well, we use this fancy thing called a slicer. So, in the link down below, you can see in the description that there's a link for Dremel Digilab 3D Slicer. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. If you hadn't already downloaded it, go ahead and pause this video and download the slicer. Now, what slicing means is just transferring STL to G-code, one type of data format to another type of data format. Really simple. So, mine is Dremel Digilab Slicer. If you see, you can also use Ultimaker Cura, the old Dremel 3D. There's a lot of slicers out there. Now, the reason why I'm using Dremel Digilab is because we're using a Dremel 3D printer, thanks to Miss Grace from Learning Bee, and the Dremel Digilab 3D printers are only supported on this slicer. So you'll have to check which slicer supports which type of printer. Now, when you open it up, if you haven't already, go ahead and open it up. Pause the video if you haven't already. It's not going to look like this. It's actually going to look like this. So, it's going to look like this, and it's actually going to ask you to do something like this. So, select your printer for setup. Now I'm going to select the 3D20, so I'm going to just say dash video tutorial, and I'm going to add this printer. You don't need to change the name at all. Just for your reference, I'm going to call it video tutorial. So add the printer, just telling that the slicer that, hey, there's a printer that I want, and it's called video tutorial. And you can see right here, Dremel 3D20 video tutorial. Great. So you can see that there is a bunch of stuff going on here. You see I'm zooming in and out. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So I have a 3D printer in my house, and it looks exactly like this box right here. So this 3D printer slicer not only converts STL to G-code, but it also shows where things are going to be printed, how things are going to be printed, so that you don't waste any time or materials trying to figure out. There's no guesswork. The slicer tells you exactly what's going to happen. So to rotate my perspective, I'm actually going to click the right click button on my mouse, and you can see that I can right click really nicely. If I'm to zoom in, just like zooming and scrolling in on a page, use the scroll wheel. Now, if I want to pan, I'm going to hold down the scroll wheel and just move back and forth. Now, to select, I just click with my left click button. So, right now we're going to import our file. So I'm going to click open file over here, and you can see that it gives me a bunch of options. I have my download file right here, just going to drag it in, a little nice Mac feature there. I'm going to open, and you can see now over here that our buckle, which was right over here, is now right over here. So I'm going to zoom in real quick, and yep, you can see, nice and true, all of that STL is now inside this slicer. But wait, it's not G-code quite yet. So to convert it to G-code, we will go ahead and click prepare, but not yet. We're going to look over here, and we're going to go from recommended to custom. Now, when you go to custom, there's a lot here. You can see that, wow, there's a lot of settings, and don't worry. We're going to go through every single one of these components one by one in a future video in this series. But what I want you to do now is, if you're printing this face buckle, the most important thing now is go ahead and change your infill from 20 to 30%. Now, why are we doing that? Infill just means you can correlate it to strength. Now, we want this to be really strong because when we are having these face buckles on the frontline healthcare workers, we want to make sure that it doesn't snap off. So we're just going to increase the strength to 30%. You can go ahead and make it lower and higher as you are progressing, and it really depends on what type of material you have. So over here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and slice it. As you see here, it says ready to slice, by clicking the prepare button. So you can see that there's going to be some loading over here. It's going to slice, 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 and ready to save to file. That's great. So as a standard measure, what we always do is we click this little pencil, and it gives us the ability to rename. You can see that it says D3VT. Wow, a lot of words. And when you're on the 3D printer, not all 3D printers have a lot of space, so you'll get a weird effect where it doesn't know which name it is. A lot of things can happen. So this is the naming scheme that we always have. We always give the date. Today is 4/13. So that way you know that this is today's model versus yesterday's model versus a week's model ago, because these CAD files, these STL files, change really fast. And that way when you're looking at all your files, you can tell which is the most recent one in just a snap of a second. So 4/13, and we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to see over here, it's called 3D Printed Face Mask Buckle. So just for short, I'm going to call it Face Mask Buckle. Now, you can see over here that I don't have any underscores because I'm actually using camel case, which just means capitalizing every first letter. Like the camel's hump, it goes up, then lowercase up, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase. Just like that. Now, you can see it says save to file. I can definitely save to file, and it'll save right onto my hard drive. That's what Macintosh HD means. I can save on my desktop. But wait, my 3D printer is not on my computer, so I need to get an SD card. Almost all 3D printers today come with an SD card. Maybe if you're watching this video in the future, you'll be using some cool Wi-Fi directing, but for now, you're going to get your SD card. So real quickly, pause the video, go ahead and grab your SD card, and insert it into your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my computer's, my 3D printer's SD card into my computer, and you can see that in just a second, it's going to pop up over here and say save to removable drive. Removable drive it's just another name for SD card. So we're going to save to the removable drive, and it says, okay, I'm saving to my removable drive, which is called LB3D print. That's just the name of the SD card. And really important, just like every time you put an SD card into your computer, just click eject, and it'll tell you when it's safe. I have to real quickly adjust this real quick, so I'm going to go ahead and type in my password, and it is going to eject. So real quickly, you're just going to eject that, and then you're going to put it into your 3D printer, and that is the end of the video today. And at the end, it will say, removable drive safely ejected. Oh, you can now safely remove the drive. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to get ready to put this into my 3D printer to start some real awesomeness, the actual part of 3D printing. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. We will definitely get back to you, and we will leave all the necessary links below. Thank you for helping us. And if you're watching this during the COVID-19 time, we really appreciate your support in helping us create these PPEs, which are really necessary to help the frontline healthcare workers, because we all really need to do our part right now. And we really thank you for your support. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.